All right, gang, here we are. We're back with the Soapbox with Austin Malleolo. Want to hop on a quick one, Soapbox, about a question that I get all the time. And the question is, what's the most important attribute a coach can have? And, it's a question I'll get at a seminar, in passing. I get the email a lot, or what's the best advice you can give an aspiring coach? It's sort of the look, the aspiration for, what is the nugget? What's the secret? And I think that for the longest time, and it's not that I don't think this anymore, but the answer that I always gave, and it's not that I don't want to give it anymore, but it's like, well, you have to care. And we've heard this before from other trusted sources that you have to care. You have to care about your craft, care about your people. You have to, care. You got to give a shit. You have to, and in turn, you have to be a good person. You can't be a shitty person. And that's important. And I don't think that's ever going to change, but I don't think it's the most important characteristic anymore. And I'll tell you why. It's because I think that level of care is across the board now. I think that we have so many unbelievable coaches, unbelievable people, that if the most important attribute a successful coach can have is to care, but everyone else has that same attribute, then no longer is that going to set you apart from anybody else. It's going to put you on the level playing field. It's going to put you aligned with everyone else. So what's the one characteristic that gets me in the game? Caring. And then over time I've also evolved that answer to, well, you need to have awareness. So you not only need to care, but you also need to have a level of awareness about your people. What I mean by that is, when someone walks into the gym, you need to kind of assess, analyze, who are they, what do they do, how are they feeling, where are they at emotionally, physically, psychologically, because this will dramatically affect how you coach them, how you present to them. And this is and the reason why it's an important attribute, because a lot of it's innate. It's very difficult to teach perception, social awareness, emotional intelligence. These are things that I think separate the best coaches from anybody else. The awareness that the mood in the room is not where it needs to be, the energy's too low, or whatever it might be. People are over you and what you're saying, whatever it is, but you're aware of it. And then from there, with that level of awareness, your ego doesn't get in the way. It's not about you, it's about them, and you can now change your style and deliver a better product. So I think that stems from caring, because if you care, then we have that thought process, and then from there we can actually deliver a better product. Because I've always stuck to my guns that I can make anyone a good coach. You walk in, we can make anyone better at teaching, seeing, and correcting. It's like driving, right? No one starts off good at that stuff. You have to practice and get better and get some level of feedback. So it's that stuff. It has always been less imperative than anything else. But I do think that's the times are changing, and I think that now if you're like, Austin, what is the most important attribute a coach can have? Well, normally I'm not in the setting with people that don't give a shit, people that don't care, and then from there, I'm going to assume that social awareness, it might be there if they give a shit that much. But then comes into this notion of, everyone says it, be the hardest worker in the room. What does that mean? I hear this a lot. I'm the hardest worker in the room. This doesn't mean wake up at 4 a.m. and go to bed at midnight, get no sleep, work just for the sake of working. And we need to have efficiency and be smart with what we're doing. So I think the most important attribute a coach can have, and certainly newer coaches, is to be in an environment where you can get feedback, be challenged, be around people that are better than you, and have a progressive mirror. Have something that is giving you feedback consistently, that is growing with you. With this, you will get better. And because you care, then other people actually care about you. I think that the most important thing that you can have is have other people that actually care about you, potentially more than you might yourself at points. This transcends the CrossFit world, but I do think this is important. I see a lot of coaches that walk into the gym, that walk into our coach development program, that come through seminars, and they're woefully unprepared to do the bare minimum, to see and correct. And it's not the fact that they don't care. They care a lot. They're like, that's never in question. Social awareness is kind of hit or miss, but that's like I said, it's going to be a little innate. So there's not much you can do there, but that will separate the best from everyone else. But then from there, they've never received feedback, and often I was like, wow, this was amazing, because I haven't been in this environment to receive feedback. It's the same reason why in the last episode we talked about strength and Metcon. The reason why our programmers or head coaches or people that are programming is because they're not getting any feedback. They think that whatever they're doing is the only way or the right way or the best way, and no one is challenging them. No one is pushing them. You get stuck in your ways. Same thing with coaching, is that your members are going to love you. You're a caring person. And even if you're an okay coach, a bad coach, it's better than what most people have ever received from a movement coach perspective, right? So, which on day one is not necessarily a bad thing. Everyone freaks out, but you're actually helping people, trying to get them better. But how do you keep getting better? You need to progress. I had a great question. Someone asked me, do you think that, after you go through a 2-day seminar or whatever it might be, after you go through the CrossFit Level 1 certificate course, are you prepared to coach people? And I saw people like, oh, no. And I was like, hell yeah. Absolutely. Now, one of my favorite Glassman paradigms, he says, the key to success specifically in the beginning is know what you don't know, limit your scope, and master the fundamentals. If you live by that in the beginning, you're going to be okay. Limit your scope. Take this for what it's worth, face value. Okay? It means don't coach as many people. The best coaches in the world can handle about 10 to 12 athletes. Therefore, most of you are not the best. Even if you've been doing this for a decade. I love you guys, but most of you are just not the best. Statistically speaking. So you have to coach less at the beginning. Maybe start one-on-one, one-on-two. And then limit your scope to what you are instructing. What that means is stick to the fundamentals. Master the fundamentals. Teach the fundamental movements. Tell them to keep their heels down, their knees out, lift their chest up, get their hips below parallel, and have their hips go back and down when they squat. You're going to change their life. And so when someone's like, how do I increase my glute strength? Keep your heels down, drive your knees out, squat below parallel, lift your chest up, and send your butt back and down. It will work. You continually do this over time, and people will ask you questions. Well, what about this? And you're going to be like, oh, shit. I don't know. Say that. Just say that. I don't know. But I'm going to find out for you. And if I can't, I'm going to put you in contact or in touch with someone. But we're going to start digging here. The amount of respect and trust that you garner from doing that is unparalleled. In turn, you will grow over time. That's how you start. And you know what? You care. Because then you remember their names, what they do for a living, so on and so forth. And these people that walk into a gym just to get a little fitter, maybe to want to look good naked more, but next thing you know, they're like, wow, this person cares about you. You created a community. You created a place where people want to be. Now something is successful. That is exactly what will validate everything to them about you. Over time, you will progress and grow. You increase your scope. You can move beyond the fundamentals, but never forget them, right? And you'll learn more. So you know what you don't know. But here's the thing: the smartest people I've ever met are the first to also tell you when they don't know something. And that's something that it's just I don't know. And that's something important. Just think when you grow up and someone says, have you heard this person, like, yeah, I have, and you're lying, right? Why do people do that? Well, it's this notion of, oh man, if I don't know that, then they're not going to trust me. They're not going to think that I know enough, where it's the opposite of that. If you're like, gosh, I don't. People are like, all right, well, let me enlighten you or help you and make this conversation more productive, so on and so forth. There's a lot of trust that can be happen there. So going back to the topic of, hey, what's the number one piece of advice I have for new coaches? Get feedback, get environments that get you better. That's specifically why Denise Thomas and myself created the Coach Development Program. It's a program designed to give you feedback, to get you better, and in setting. You're going to coach classes, and now we own that program with James Hobart, and it's awesome because you're literally going to coach a class. You're going to get feedback on your ability to coach. And what's the number one piece of feedback we give across every single person that walks through there? The ability to see movement faults quickly and correct them is not there. And they want to. And our goal is to open their eyes to what they're missing. Then from there, how do we see faster? What are some formulas and tools and drills that we can get through that? And then from there, we need to call corrections that make movement better. Then how do we do that? That pulls back into actually how you lay out your class from a lesson planning perspective, for your general skill specific into your workout. There needs to be a progressive opportunity for you to see and correct. So that's why we do that, because what we see is people are woefully inadequate to execute that appropriately, where that really is our job. What we see coaches are really good at, caring 100% across the board. And the emotional intelligence is really cool to see. People are there. I see them getting to know people, that's awesome. The ability to teach movement is usually there. The awareness of a progression of points of performance, albeit usually missed and seen and correcting, but they're covered in teaching. That's usually covered really well, and this is why it's low-hanging fruit, and it's easy, and that's easy to get better on your own. It's so hard to get better without feedback. You need a mirror. You need to be coached on your coaching. If you want to consider yourself a professional in this arena, get coached on what you're doing. I'm sick of all of this noise out there about, you want to call yourself a professional, you need to charge for this or whatever it might be. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the product you're delivering and how you're progressing yourself. Remember that. It's that simple yet that hard. If I were to propose a solution, it might sound, I don't know, it's not easy. It's no different where, I gotta start working out more and I gotta eat better. Yeah, no one is gonna argue that in order to get in better shape, you work out more, you work out harder, and you eat better. Executing, that's a different challenge, and everyone's got a different challenge, right? Because of their life or their setup in the gym. So I think that's something to take a look at. Now, if you're gonna spend money on a course to go to, the level 2 course that CrossFit offers is unbelievable because it starts your feedback journey. Then from there, that's where you have these other courses. We created the Coach Development Program to progress upon from the level 2. And then, also how do you make yourself have the ability to see and correct better? Other courses that I've been involved with allow for that to happen. Essentially, if you ask me what's my main purpose, well, for the seminars, level 1, level 2, the coaching development program, the advanced coaching concepts, those are all things that I do to help people become better coaches. And I love it. Because if I'm saying the most important attribute is to progress and grow as a coach, and therefore you need feedback, you need coaching on your coaching, then I need to have an opportunity to deliver that to people. So that's one of my passions. But it got me thinking, because I get that question a lot, and I really think that hopefully this answers it. A quick little soapbox of everyone cares. That's a level playing field. And the emotional intelligence things is important. And maybe as we look back, maybe it's more, that's going to separate the best from the good from the okay, and the okay from the not great. Those things, if all skills are equal. But then from there, everyone can get better with feedback. And that's important, from programming to their ability to coach on the floor. It's not fun, it's not sexy, but you have to get better. And, I'm not going to go into, the evaluation and all that stuff, but, we spend a lot of time watching coaches, and we spend a lot of time with people that want to get better. And I can tell you the coaches that I've seen come through the programs and the seminars that really invest and want it, they do get so much better. Gosh, I've seen them come on seminar staff down the line. And that's the most rigorous process and evaluative process I've ever been a part of. It's amazing It's really an amazing process, really hard. The most challenging thing I've ever seen, but again, because it's feedback driven, and that's where most people are not used to that. So in closing, this soapbox, what is the most important attribute a coach can have? Ironically enough, it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with someone else. You need to get feedback, but it starts with you of seeking that out. You need to find someone to help you to get you better. It doesn't have to be all the time, but you got to find somebody. If you want to consider yourself a professional in the field, if you consider yourself someone in your gym that is the head coach, the owner, you need to give your people feedback, but then you need feedback as well. Because and I've been fortunate enough my whole career to have people give me feedback no matter what role I'm in, and I will attest that's 100% why I am where I am today. I have mentors like Eva Claire Sinkowski, Pat Sherwood, Adrian Bosman, and peers, and also mentors in Denise Thomas and James Hobart. These are people that I've looked up to and worked with and have ripped me apart at points, but it's made me so much better, and it still happens to this day. And that's why I believe my efficacy as a coach is fairly good. By no means do I think I'm the best, and there's room to grow, but I have the opportunity to never be complacent, because complacency breeds mediocrity, and mediocrity is where the average go to die. That was intense, but sorry, it got me fired up. All right. We're under 20 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. Hopefully you found some value in this. Hit me up in the comments. Shoot me contact austinmalleolo@gmail.com if you want to shoot me a note. You have any questions, comments, concerns, but I'm figuring out this volume thing. I really enjoy this podcast. If you have any topics that you want me to hit, shoot me a note and I will make it happen. See you later.